The Modology Motorsports podcast is hosted by Podcast Garden, the complete solution for podcasting. We use Podcast Garden to host and distribute this show to iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. If you've ever thought about creating your own podcast, you need to check out Podcast Garden. You'll be surprised how fast and easy it is to get started. Just go to podcastgarden.com and check out their free and paid podcast hosting services. Welcome to the Modology Motorsports Podcast, Season 1, Episode 11. I'm Blake.
And I'm Marcus.
Marcus, I'm glad to have you back, buddy.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
I feel like it was a boring show with me just sitting here rambling by myself.
Well, it was refreshing for me to sit down and listen to a podcast that I haven't actually listened to already.
Right. Well, we'll talk about, we'll let you talk about what happened to you here in a little bit, but I got a couple things I'd like to throw out there for this episode. I've become the king of wheel bearings, apparently. I got everything wrapped up with the Focus, and I got the wheel bearing changed on the Corolla, and I ended up tearing up my hub press kit in the process. The bolt broke, you put it all together, and there's this giant bolt that goes to the middle. And it's not an easy thing to do to try and press these bearings out by hand, and I ended up snapping the bolt that went through the middle of it. So now I have to find a replacement bolt, because without that, the whole thing is just pretty much useless. When I got the Corolla hub off and started taking things apart, the whole setup was a little different than the Focus. It's got dust covers that go on both sides to keep the dust out of the bearings, or I guess help keep the dust out of the bearings. The guy that did them for my stepdad, it looked like he didn't seat them down all the way against the actual bearing. So there was just this big gap, and you could see the bearing, the ball bearings inside the hub. So they still had grease in them, but everything on the road, it was all just exposed, so everything on the road was just getting right in them.
That sounds absolutely nasty.
Yeah. So we had drove it to the next town over and back, and it had rained, and we drove it while it rained, and so it went south real quick once we started driving it. So it had to be. I figured I thought maybe it just got a bad bearing, maybe, or it was something was wrong when the guy did it. But yeah, once I got it all apart, you could see the ball bearings from the back side of the hub. So I was like, yeah, he didn't seat these dust covers down all the way.
No, one thing as well, you were talking about that bolt that broke. I think I've heard so many people say that about the press kits and stuff like that the bolts that come with them just aren't man enough for the task.
Yeah. No, I had this thing I had the hub wedged under the back steps, because it's hard to put that much force on it and keep the hub from turning at the same time.
Yeah.
So I wedged it under the back steps of the house, and then I used a half-inch socket, ratchet that had already broke, so it was kind of locked into place, and it wouldn't actually ratchet. It was just, you had to take it off the bolt, reposition it, and start again. And then a big old long breaker bar that I stole from work. So they gave to me. We throw them in the dumpster, but and I was really cranking down on it, and it would go so far, and I'd hear it pop, and I was like, well, maybe it's starting to slide in, and then it would slide. You could feel the bearing it wouldn't be as hard the next couple of pulls, or the bearing was sliding back into the hub. And then when it popped the last time, I fell, the hub and all the parts to the press kit and everything just went flying everywhere. And I was like, I thought the hub had slipped out from under the back step, but no, it broke the bolt, and shit went flying everywhere.
I hate it when that happens. I've done that with a crank pulley before. Sat there with a breaker bar, pulling it all down, getting it all tight, and then poof, I go flying one way, the breaker bar goes going the other, and then everything falls onto the floor in a shattered mess.
Right.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Well, with all said and done, the Corolla is back together. I ended up just doing the smart thing and just taking it to work and putting it in the press. And, it took 15 minutes that way to press it. And most of that time was just getting it adjusted right to press the bearing in and out, or to press it in. So I got all that done, got the hub back on, and then, now the car, it was out of alignment a little bit before. It's still out of alignment now.
Mm.
The driver's side tire is new. My stepdad said with the bearing being out or going bad, I guess it had a wobble to the wheel, so he had to put a new tire on that side. But the passenger side tire is going bald, and it's just on the inside edge of the tire. It's like barely on the edge of the tire.
You got too much caster on the front wheel then. Yeah. They're not putting in the same way.
Stance Nation on the Corolla.
No. Correct that.
No, but I was looking at one of the YouTubers we both watched is Adam LZ, and he's got several drift cars that he messes with. And now he changes mostly his complete suspension out on his cars to be able to get the wheels to turn more.
Yeah, I think he goes like Wisefab for everything, doesn't he?
Yeah, a company called Wisefab uses their kits, and it looks like when it's completely installed, it damn near looks like the front wheels will turn almost all the way sideways.
Yeah, it is absolutely ridiculous the amount of the amount of angle that you can get on that.
So I've been looking at, I've watched him do some alignments. He usually does like toe in and toe out. He's got these toe plates that he uses to help line his cars up and get them. So I've been watching some other videos of people like doing front end alignments on their cars, and I wanted to learn how to do it myself, because around here it's like between $90 to $100 to get your car lined up.
Oh shit, that sounds awful.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, like I say, it's got to be just barely off just for it to be eating I'm talking about it's like right where the tire starts to roll over to the sidewall. That's where it's like eating the tire up at. So it can't be out too much. I've watched him do alignments, and I've watched some other videos where people will take jack stands and tie a string to them, and then run the string through the center of the back tire, like right across the center, and then you put it across the center of the front, the wheel and tire, and then you can take and measure how far off the front of the tire and the back of the front tire are off compared to, like with a tape measure.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to end up trying that to see if that works.
You're gonna have to do a video on how you find out the best way to do it is in the end.
So I learned that like the toe you can adjust with the tie rod ends, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you adjust like camber on a stock car? Because I have no idea. Do you have any idea?
It depends on the car. I know my old Mini used to be able to do it with there was a specific bolt that you could do it, and it had like a little eye, and it used to swivel. I wouldn't really know. I've not really done it myself properly. Right. Somebody else did that for me, and I wasn't paying attention because I was young, stupid, and I didn't really care at the time.
My father-in-law told me there was like some adjustments at the top of some of them have adjustments at the top of the strut where you can adjust them that way, but
Yeah, I know that there are some at the top of the towers, usually aftermarket ones.
Right, yeah. So I don't know I don't think it's a camber problem though with that car. I think the toe is off a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the most common, which is it's got tie rod ends anyway.
Well, you never know as well. You might find that something on the suspension might be slightly bent out of alignment on one side, so somebody's probably curbed it.
But I'm hoping to be able to get that straightened up, and I'll make a video when I do it. I'll end up having to buy another tire from Simple Tire. I can get one tire from Simple Tire for like $40. Because the other three, one is new on the front, the two on the back still look pretty good. So just to get one tire, it's probably all I'll mess with. But I'd like to get it lined up before I even put the tire on, because I don't want to, or maybe put it on. I don't know. Maybe I'll get it lined up, then drive it to get the tire changed. That's one of the only things I can't do is mount tires at the house, which I can go buy the shit to do it. But I don't know that I'll be changing that many tires, and by that point, I don't want to like sit there and pry the tire off the wheels on the Civic. I paid, I like those Rotas, so I don't want to scratch them up and fuck them up.
Yeah, I've seen people doing tires on their own before without the pneumatic sort of tire press and all the rest of it. And it is savage, the sort of damage that they do to their wheels trying to get it off. But most of the time that was for people that were like in the autocross sort of style of things. So, you know, they didn't really care what was going on. Those wheels were going to get destroyed by rocks and chips and everything anyway. So,
right. Well, Marcus, I'm going to tell you, buddy, the best thing about this Corolla, this 94 Corolla, is that I've talked about it before, but it sat, you know, undriven for years, and everything on this car still works. It's got power windows, air conditioning, and all of it still works. And the best thing is when the Civic, when it would rain, is a matter of putting the key in the ignition, turning the key to on, and then waiting for the car to decide it wanted to start. And then if it's still raining, the Civic only has heat. So once the windows fog up, the best I could do is just blow hot air on the windows and just hope for the best, which usually didn't help at all, because I'm already having to sit in the car with the windows rolled up while it's raining and, you know, 90 degrees outside. So it was a pain in the ass with the Civic when it rained. But the Corolla, you just put it on the defog setting, push the air conditioner button even while the heat's going. It just blows that dry air on the windshield and cleans it right up. And it's something simple like that I've missed so much, is being able to just see while I'm driving while it's raining.
Well, you know, those simple things like, you know, being able to see the road. Yeah, I can understand that one. I must admit, I know that with the difference between my new car and and my van, for instance, are like worlds apart. You know, it takes me 10 minutes to defrost my windows on my van and get it all so that you can actually see through and it's not foggy. You know, and on the Toyota, it's like, you know, 5 minutes, if that, and everything's done and dusted and peachy, and you can just drive off.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, you know, since the last episode, I've driven this Civic once, and that was just to take trash to the dump, and that was it. So I'm looking forward to the days that, I mean, I'm already pretty much there, and now it's just a matter of getting the Accord finished, but the Civic is going to get to a point where it's going to end up in the backyard, and it'll just be a fair weather car only, and just, you know, to around the neighborhood or to the dump until, you know, I get to where I'm just not going to drive it anymore at all until it's ready to go back on the road. I was checking the tires and stuff on the Civic, seeing if they needed air, and on the front of the Civic, I've got Kumo PS31 tires, and they're good. They're really good summer tires, and I like these tires a lot. They're like super grippy and sticky in the summertime. I left them on last year during the winter, and it's like when I first would start the car and go until they warmed up, they were just hard as rocks. And I drove them last year in the snow, which that was terrible. They're these great, like, sticky summer tires. But they're starting to get a little thin on the front now. I've noticed that. So the Civic will be due for some new shoes. But, well, by the time I get everything together, it'll definitely be ready for new tires.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to go back with these same tires, and I'm going to put them all the way around this time, because I really love these tires. Have you guys ever had tires that you just really favored over any other ones?
Not massively, no. I mean, I only ever really drove my cars with whatever was on them at the time. I must admit the only difference that I had really was when in my old the Mitsubishi, when the tires went off on those and it was raining and the rear end used to step out all over the place.
Ugh.
And so it was like, I remember going to the tire guys and I was like, I don't care what it has to be, but whatever it has to be on there, it needs to work in the wet really well. Cause, you know, my missus was like horrendously sort of pissed at this car, because every time when she went to brake or anything like that, it was almost like near misses every day. Ooh. Purely because the tires would lock up at the merest twitch of a brake being applied to it, and you could feel the front end go really light. It was awful. They still had tread on them, so I don't know what happened, but they were awful. So yes and no, I understand what you're saying, but I think the coming year for me is going to be the one where I'm going to start getting my tire choices down and all the rest of it.
I think it was like the PS31s were the first tire that I noticed a real difference with. You know what I mean? Because before, like, just tires were tires to me. I went through so many of them that it didn't make a difference if they were like a performance tire or not. But the PS31s were the first ones that when I put them on the car and drove it, like the day I got them, I was like, holy shit, this makes quite a difference, these tires on here. I think I said in one of the first episodes, like, it would understeer. Like, when you turn in to the left or the right, it's like the whole front of the car. Like, if you're turning to the left, it's like the whole front of the car was trying to turn, or trying to slide to the left with it. So, they're really super grippy.
Yeah, I remember you saying about that, actually, yeah.
But I'm gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss, like, the Toyota's just got, all season whatever tires on it, so. But, I'll miss them until, I redo the Civic and get a whole new set. I entered this contest for this website called Car Done. I can't remember if I've mentioned this on the podcast or not, but their contest was ending. I looked and it said there was like 11 hours left on the contest. And my wife looked at it, she shared it on her Facebook page, and the grand prize for winning that contest was $5,000. Well, the next day I was going to check and see if they had announced a winner, or were they going to wait, maybe have a date they were going to announce the winner. And I looked and like the timer was still going, and there was like 9-10 more days added to it. And I was like, what the hell? So they're running it to the end of the month. But by the time this podcast goes up, it'll be over with. But I was like, well, what the hell? I was like 11 more hours and it was supposed to have been over. And now it goes for it was like 10 more days. So I don't know. They don't, the only thing I don't like about this contest is they don't show you like how many votes you have.
Yeah.
And, we kind of talked a little bit about what if their cousin makes a video and you don't show how many votes people are getting? What if they decide to give it to him? You know what I mean? I don't really like that too much.
Yeah, one thing I would say is that the timer did change, because originally it didn't say anything like time left to cast your vote. It said at the top time until they closed the sort of entrance. I can't remember. It was really weirdly worded. But when that ticker timed out, and the next day when I went to log on to have a look, it did change at the top, and now it says time left to cast your vote, which coincidentally is 4 days, 7 hours, 12 minutes, and 5 seconds at the moment.
Okay, so that's what we got left.
Because I just cast my vote again.
Yay, thank you.
Once every 24 hours, peeps.
I've been voting on it. I've been getting my wife to vote on it. You can put it up on Facebook, but once it's out there, I never really know like who clicks on it or not. People may just skip past it, but anything helped. So I don't. I read through the rules of the contest too, and it never says like a date that they'll announce the winner either. So I don't know.
I did read through it, and then you had to click on a link to look through the rules and regulations, and inside the rules and regulations there was another link to something else. So it's well buried in there, but I think it was like 14 days or something like that after the closing date.
Oh, yeah?
Something along those lines.
They got to count all those digital votes.
Yeah. Well, there's digital votes that no one can see.
Right.
That they're probably just going to choose whoever they like the best. I don't know.
Maybe it'll be modology.
You never know. We could win.
That'd be nice. Give me a GoPro finally and a real camera to make videos with.
Boom.
All right, Marcus, that's all I got for this week. What do you got?
Well, I got married.
Hooray!
Huzzah. Yes, so I spent a whole entire day with everybody staring at me and congratulating me continuously, and it went so quick.
Yeah?
Yeah, it went really, really quick. I had my uncles there and loads of my family and all the rest of it, and it just went so quick that I can't really remember much of it. And I wasn't, I was pretty nervous at the beginning. I was like half an hour late getting to the venue.
Marcus.
Yeah, I know. I was stuck in traffic.
Was Marcus already there?
No, thankfully she got stuck in other traffic. Apparently it was one of those days where there was a crash on the way to where I was going, so we went a different way, and then it turned out that that morning they had put up traffic lights going through the middle of the village that we had to go through. So that was backed up all the way from one side of the village to the other side. And so we were stuck in that. But thankfully, the people that were marrying us were running late as well. So by the time I got there, I was only like 5 minutes later than they were.
Oh.
So I didn't feel too bad.
Right.
But yeah, I was well stressed at that point because I don't like being late for anything, let alone my own wedding. So I was extremely stressed by the time I got there. So I got all of the paperwork side of things all done and dusted, and we got everything all that out of the way. And then I went to go into the other room, and I was like, right, I've had enough. And then literally as I walked through the door, like everybody bombarded me all at once. And so I was like, right, that's me. I'm out of here. So I went straight outside, straight out onto the balcony, and my best men sort of shut the door behind me and stopped anyone from coming out, so I could like take 5 minutes to myself just to chill out before I went back in. So yeah, it was a stressful start to it all, but no, it was a really nice evening, really nice day. Managed, my uncles hadn't been in the same place for 15 years with each other, so. No, actually, they were really good. Slightly drunk, but that's what happens. And then we stayed up until like 3:00 in the morning, drinking in the cloakroom of the hotel that we were staying at, because they closed the bar at 1:00. And so we thought, no, that's not good enough. So we, my uncles, my aunt popped out and got some drinks from her car, and then we created a makeshift bar and then drank until 3:00 in the morning. That's sort of my wedding. Oh, and obviously my dad took my missus from the house to the wedding in his 1934 Buick. And yeah, it was a good day. Some nice photos that worked out really well for that. So I think that was the only thing I wasn't worried about was the photographer, which we spent enough money on that anyway. So
yeah, I was wondering if you, like, when you left the venue, did you get to leave in the caterum or something like that?
No. The actual venue where we got married and where we had the actual wedding breakfast and all the rest of it was all the same.
You had like the wedding and the reception in the same place?
Yep, and we stayed there for the night there as well.
Oh, okay.
So it was all sort of like a package. Yeah, it was a package deal, and it cost us far less than some places that I've seen. It was all fun and games.
The attendees don't have to travel after the wedding to somewhere else for the reception, and then I guess if you got people coming in from out of town, they've already got accommodations there they can stay. So that's pretty smart.
Yeah. So yeah, it amalgamated a lot of things all together that made it a lot easier. But that's all boring stuff that isn't car related. So we'll move on. These
are things that kept you from being able to do car stuff. So all that's behind you now.
Exactly. So car stuff is slowly moving back into the foreground now so that I can get stuff done. But obviously with Christmas coming up and all the rest of it, and standard English crap weather that's kicked off. So it's freezing cold outside every day at the moment.
Yeah.
And rainy. So I'm waiting for some space in the garage to appear, and then we'll go from there, which brings me slowly segueing over into the next thing that I was going to talk about, that the reason why there's some space being accumulated in my garage downstairs is that my father has quit doing autocrossing after 53 years of doing it.
Ooh.
Yeah, unfortunately, he decided to take the view that he's been suffering quite a lot with his health, and like a one-day event would cause him to like have to recover for like almost a week afterwards. So, and he was saying that he wasn't enjoying the experience. So he decided that he'd rather sort of save his body a little bit more and stop doing it anymore, and sort of take a sideline on that and concentrate on the caterum and doing sprints and hill climbs like I'm going to be doing with the Mini. That sort of rolled into his idea of, well, he's used the Buick to do weddings and stuff like that, and you get paid for it. But he's also now done my sister's wedding and my wedding with it, so he's decided that he's not gonna bother too much with it anymore, and he's looking at selling that as well. So the course is going, the Caterham's going. The Buick's going. Caterham is staying because. Sorry, carry on.
This Buick. When
Yes.
you first told me your dad had a Buick in the garage, I was thinking, I don't know what I thought. You posted a picture of this Buick. I didn't know it was a 1934. When you posted some pictures of this car, I was like, holy shit. No wonder Marcus had it tarped up when he had to move it outside. I thought that was a little overkill for a Buick, but yeah, I didn't know it was a 1934 Buick.
Yeah, I don't think you realised exactly how much space it took up either. I think it's like 9 foot long.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous, that thing, and it's so heavy. It's like 3 3/4 tons or something like that.
Wow.
It's like a massive, ridiculous thing that stinks when it fires up, and it doesn't make much noise I think it's like a straight 8 engine in it or something like that.
Huh.
Or a straight 6. But it's really quiet when it runs, like really, really quiet. But it is just, I don't know. I love it for its looks, but for anything to do with the mechanic side of it, it's just a bit too rudimentary for me, and it's all covered in rust, and there's one-off bits that you can't buy for it anymore, like the swirl pot for the fuel is actually a bit of blown glass.
And it was like super custom made.
Oh yeah. That thing is just ridiculous, and the leaf suspension on it and all the rest of it. It's pretty ridiculous, that thing.
At one time, my dad was in his garage down below his house. He was storing a car for one of his friends, and it was a Ford Model T, I think. It was a Model
Oh yeah.
It was amazing just to go out and look at that car and look at how things were designed back then. Like, there was no fuel pump. So they had the fuel tank mounted like right under the windshield so it could gravity feed to the engine.
Yeah.
And then it had this lever on the inside that was connected to the distributor, and you could turn the distributor from inside the car with that lever. So it was like old school VTEC.
Yeah. No,
Timing.
I remember one of my uncles, he had a hand crank for one of his cars. And if you cranked it and kept your hand on it for too long, the engine, when it fired up, would spin it and break your wrist.
Spin the handle and break your arm.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, that's Buick. You don't have to hand crank it, thank God. But it's an unwieldy bit of kit, to say the least, and it takes so much room up downstairs in the garage. I'm sort of looking forward to it disappearing off. I'm pretty sad to see the Corsa go, because I started working on that in 1990 with my dad. So I've seen all the iterations of it from start to finish. I raced in some of them with it. So, that's the car that got me into racing in the first place,
Have you ever thought about buying it?
I'm not going to buy it.
No. So you got your own race
Yeah.
car to mess with, huh?
I've got my own race car to mess with, and I don't have $5,500 to throw at it. I think that's what he just wanted for the engine if it was stripped out. So that engine is ridiculous in that thing.
Right.
Yeah. So although I might nick a few bits off of it, because he's got a hydraulic brake in there as well, which I might nick if I do any sort of twisty turny things in the Mini. I might end up setting up a hydro brake for it just so that I can spin it round corners really quick. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I don't know. I might nick it and then see if I can get some sort of a hydro brake setup done on it, or at least leave it for another year or two in a box, and then maybe make a drift car or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, you never know. I might end up getting myself a Civic and make a drift car out of it.
You have to drive in reverse.
Or just make it rear-wheel drive.
Yeah. It's possible. I've seen them do it with the engine and transmission out of the Honda CR-V, like the mini SUV that they make.
Mm.
It's got a all-wheel drive drivetrain. So you just disable the front and you can make the Civic rear-wheel drive.
Mental.
So it's possible.
Yeah, true. Okay, I can understand that.
But then you got to go custom drive shaft, custom axles.
Oh yeah, it goes into the world of stupidity then.
Right.
But yeah, all funny games on that, Ramon. So on a better note, my father had the people who set his suspension up on his Caterham ask him if they can use it for their show stand at Silverstone next week. And my dad's said, yeah, that's fine. So he's going to be carting it up to Silverstone on next week, Friday. They're going to have it for the whole entire weekend. And whilst he's up there, he's had some interest from Avon Tyres as well to see whether or not they can provide him with some tyres for next year's event, to see whether or not my dad can take the championship for a third year in a row then. So it looks like my dad might be in with getting some sort of sponsorship from Avon Tyres at this rate. So he's doing really well with the Caterham, and I'm chuffed for him at the moment that he's now, 2 years in a row, I think now, with the Caterham, winning sprints. And I think he's hoping to nail it 3 years in a row. And then, because he's going to be doing hill climbs, he's hoping to win that and then possibly get the dual discipline award again for 3 years in a row already, maybe 4 years. I think he's got that 3 years in a row already anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's good for him. And also it might mean that I might have a little chat with Avon as well if Dad does well.
There you go.
And that might be an in for me to possibly get some nice Avon slicks for the Mini. It should be good.
I'm his son. I have a race car.
Yeah, I might have to, actually do some legwork in the Mini a little bit before I go that far.
Right.
Or I might just say, what would you suggest? And then buy the tyres myself, and then hopefully next year have some sort of an in with them to say, look, I did really well last year with your tyres that I bought. Can I carry on this year, but then maybe with some support from you? You never know. Things might work out. It depends on how everything goes with the Mini. Because I've got a lot of plans for the Mini at the moment, some of which I've spoken to you about, Blake, and some of which I haven't, and that I've been sort of mulling around with other people that I've been chatting to about it with. And yeah, it's all coming along at the moment. I mean, I'm in talks with a guy that I spoke to you about to do the roll cage, which will incorporate some special mounting points for my GoPros, so that it'll all be inbuilt into the roll cage, so that I don't have to worry about having to get stupid, faffy little ones that clip around it that wobble, and you see the pictures going all over the place, and they're poorly placed because that's the only place they could fit it on there, or you can see that the camera's set at a weird angle and stuff like that. No, this is going to be custom, all in the perfect places for me to be able to get a good shot, and it's going to be steady. It's going to be good. At least I hope so. As long as the car doesn't vibrate horrendously and so the pictures look awful anyway. But, these things happen. And I also sent you a picture, didn't I, Blake, of my new hardwired housings for the GoPros.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So that should mean now that I'll be able to hardwire the GoPros into the power supply of the car, and have them permanently connected so that I don't have to worry about batteries. So whenever I go out, I don't have to worry about any of that. And I've already got a remote that I'll probably hard fix to the dash of the car so that I can get it all going like I do already, which is basically I've set them all up to all sync to each other, and then I press the record button, they all come all on at once and sync with each other, and so I don't have to mess around too much with the editing.
That's cool.
Yeah, it helps. Trust me. It helps a lot. Otherwise, you have to run around, and if you've got 3 cameras, you have to press the record button 3 times after turning them on 3 times. And yeah, it gets old real quick when you're having to faff around with all of that. So yeah, I mean, it's all looking pretty pretty good at the moment when it comes to all of that. I've also been chatting with a couple of my friends, and they've got friends that have experience in carbon fiber and all the rest of it. So I'm looking at the moment of making a fiberglass mold of my car in its entirety, and then creating a two-piece shell for my car. So the whole front end comes off in one go, and the rear end is another whole section in itself. And then that will reduce the weight of the car absolutely ridiculously at that point. So yeah, that's probably going to be sometime next year. So I might end up having some videos on how to make fiberglass molds and how to lay down fiberglass and also carbon fiber to make the body panels and all the rest of it. And then hopefully have one of the lightest minis in my racing group. Hopefully.
Is there any like, can a mini be underweight in your division? Do they have to? Is there a minimum requirement how much they have to weigh?
No. The only thing is making sure that you stick to the specifications of what they deem safe or in the rules for that class. So at the moment, I was originally going for road going class. That disappeared when I stripped out all of the interior of the car, because you have to have all of the interior still there, including the back seats. And I was like, I'm not having those in there. No. You know, it's pointless to me, and I got annoyed with that idea. So at the moment, I think I might end up landing in the rally road sort of class. That means now that I'll have to have a fire suppression system in the car and all the rest of it already set up. Loads of other different options, but then it also means that I have more of a freer selection on what tire I can use as well, which should be good. Yeah, so I mean, it opens more doors, but it also means that I have to make sure that I think I have to get a blue book for my car as well, which has to be signed off by the MSA. So I have to get it sent in for inspection. So that'll be fun times, especially if I fail it, which I hope I won't. But yeah, I mean, it just means that I have to have internal as well as external cut-off switches for the car and all the rest of it. So yeah, should be all fun and games. I wanted to put a full roll cage into the car anyway, because I wanted to be as safe as possible. You know, to fit a full roll cage in means you'd have to cut parts of the dash away. And I'm like, why cut parts of the dash away when you can just rip the whole entire thing out and lose the weight?
Talked on Facebook Messenger about you were looking at an idea for something to do with a dash, and I was thinking, so you're going to take the entire... I was wondering what you're going to do with the dash anyway. You're going to take it out or get like a custom dash put in, or...
What I was thinking of doing in the end is, because part of the dash, some of the sort of like scaffolding bits underneath the dash, holds the steering wheel column in place and all the rest of it. So I've had a chat with the guy that's, that I'm looking at doing the roll cage for, and he's going to have a bar going from the front of the A-pillars all the way around past where the steering rack is. And he's going to have a custom mount set into that for the steering rack. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to be doing that, then I'm probably going to end up getting rid of my my current sort of like gauges and stuff like that, and probably get a racing digital dash with all of the options all on that, so that I can see all of the oil pressure whilst I'm driving and all the rest of it, and I can set it all up with the ECU to give me warnings on low levels and all the rest of it, so I can pull over if my oil pressure drops down past a certain point and all the rest of it, just so that I'm helping myself a little bit more, shall we say. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff, and it does mean that there's a lot of extra money that is going to get thrown into it. But because I was taking the extra time that I have been because of the wedding, meant that I can put a lot of stuff together in the background ready for when I'm going to take all the videos and get them all up together. And then it'll be more of a continuous sort of episodes type feel with the Mini, which is why I've held off really. Cause I mean, we've had, sponsorship come in like we did with Mishimoto. And that meant that I've got some bits from them that I need to do a unboxing for, and also some videos on pulling the old bits out and putting the new stuff in and the rest of it. So it just means that I haven't been rushed to try and do it, but at the same time, it means that I haven't got much content out over the last few months. So, or ever, really. I think I've thrown down a couple of videos, but nothing major. Annoys me greatly, but I've been so stupidly busy with work where I think just before we started doing Moldology, I had a promotion at work, so I'm now a manager. So I ended up doing a lot of work and overtime and stuff like that, which messed with what I could do and what I couldn't do. And then with all the wedding stuff and my dad's bad health, so a lot of my weekends got sort of kicked to the curb. So yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster with it all in the background. But hopefully now, with everything calming down, I should be able to get everything ready for racing season in March. Get a few videos out that'll be interesting for people, and we can get on with it from there. But I think that's around about it.
All right. Well, Marcus, we have some news. It's a little unconventional. It's not necessarily car news, but it's big news for us. And I had to really bite my tongue last week not to spill the beans, because I wanted to wait till you were here so we could announce it together.
Yep.
So we got some YouTube news.
Yeah.
Marcus, tell them the good news.
We hit 100 subs.
Hooray!
But more than 100 subs now. I think we're at about 131 now. Because as soon as we hit 100 subs, we were looking at it that day. I swear both me and Blake were just staring at the YouTube sort of page, seeing all of these, the ticker go up. It's 100, 101, 104, 106. And then I think on the day that it hit 100, then we had 115 subs, didn't we? Or something like that.
Yeah. By
the end of that day. And then it's just it's been going really consistently since then. And I'm really happy that that's been happening, because it's nice to know that, people are actually listening to us and enjoying it enough that they're going to sub to our channel. And I'm really appreciative of that.
I think we were both kind of watching, like I said, we were watching the ticker that day, and it hit we sat at 98 for a while, I think. And then it hit 99, and I was like, I remember it was morning. It was a morning, and then it hit 100. And we were messaging each other, and I said, should we go do it? Should we go see if we can register the channel name? And you were like, yeah, do it. So I came in here in the office, and, it gave me it gives you this little checkbox of things you can do with your channel. And, choosing a channel name was available once it hit 100, and I was like, awesome. So I put it in, and no joke, everybody out there can think of me, what they want, but as soon as I got that set and got it registered to where it's now youtube.com/Modology Motorsports, I may have cried a little bit, just because it's something we've been looking forward to for so long, and it's it was a big deal for us to finally be able to hit those 100 subs.
Yeah, it almost felt like it validated our work that we've done so far.
And then I don't know what happened after that, because after 100 subs, it was I don't know if the algorithm changes for YouTube or something, but it's been a steady stream of subs after that. It's not as many or as fast as I want, but it's steady now, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving it. I'm looking at it thinking I really want it to hit 150 before December, before we finish our final episode for this season, because it means that we've hit 100% of our sort of goal that we wanted to do for this year, plus 50% on top.
Yeah. Our goal was just to hit 100 before year one was up, and we did that in September, end of September, October.
Yeah, I think it was mid to late September, wasn't it?
I think so.
Well, no, because it was, I think it was the week before my wedding.
That's right.
So, yeah, so we're letting you behind the curtain on this one, because we ran a little bit late with last episode. So we're trying to get back on track with all of them now. So now we're close to cutting back up again.
Right. Well, while we're talking about YouTube, Marcus, let's jump into that. And there's been an upset in the top 3. So fill us in on our top YouTube videos.
So at number 3 is the Honda Civic brake master cylinder replacement at 3,208 minutes.
Still going strong in the top 3.
Yep. In number 2, the Ford Focus radiator replacement at 5,150 minutes.
Number 2?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And number 1 is the Honda Accord cylinder head removal at 5,791 minutes.
That's crazy.
That is crazy, because it's sort of like, I don't know. It's a bit weird, because it suddenly sort of shot up out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It kind of dabbled a little bit at first. It was getting a couple of views, and then just like, I guess everybody's cylinder heads warped at the same time, and I needed to check it out.
It's either that or our pleas for people to watch the cylinder head removal video that you stuck up on the Cardone website suddenly piqued us. I mean, is that a link, or is that just straight up video that you've loaded onto them?
Oh no, the video I uploaded was for the brake master cylinder.
I'm being stupid. Yeah. Sorry, I'm being stupid. I completely forgot which one it was you put up.
Yeah, unfortunately, like, none of the views on that from Cardone count towards our YouTube, so I don't know, maybe the logo on there, maybe some people came to check it out. But I remember when I took the cylinder head and dropped it off, the guy told me, he said, "What's this for?" And I said, "A Honda Accord," and he goes, "Oh." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "Well, we see a lot of these." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So apparently it's a big deal. Apparently Accord head gaskets are shit.
Yeah. Oh well.
It'll be fine now that once I get it all finished up. I'm hoping that'll be the last time I have to pull that head off. A big upset, and the Focus radiator has been knocked from the top position, but it's getting cold now, so it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Blowing up again.
Yeah, or it's going to be the hoses.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, or if you're unlucky enough, it will be the expansion plugs.
Yeah, or the heater core burst or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh God, that sucks.
Yeah, just make sure that you make sure that you get the right mix of antifreeze and coolant.
Which reminds me, I'm glad you said that. The Civic still has just straight water in it. We've been hitting under like 40 degrees at night the last couple of nights. So I need to go,
you might need to drain that.
Yeah, I need to go drive the Civic and let it burn up some more of that water so I can put some more antifreeze in it. Forgot all about. Glad you said that, because I forgot all about. Ooh, that would have sucked. Cause I'm gonna work on it anyway and like pull the engine out and everything, but I'd prefer not to like crack the block in the meantime.
It'd be nice, because otherwise that would be a brand new engine. I don't think that would go down too well, unless you win the video award for the Cardone thing, and then you get $5,000. Is it?
Yeah, $5,000.
$5,000, and you can buy yourself a new engine. And turbo it.
I thought about it. I was like, well, I could go ahead and at least buy another block and probably go ahead and get a turbo kit, and then I'd have all that. And then I was like, but then you start thinking about pistons and rods, and would I get a camshaft? Because now here's the perfect opportunity if you're going to put one in. The head's already off, and yeah, I kind of feel like the $5,000 would go real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what things cost over there for you guys, but I know that, I mean, my roll cage is probably going to cost $1,000 in itself.
Same here. Custom made like that.
Yeah, but these things happen. I think you've got to put the money in where you think it's going to be the most use.
Oh yeah, and protecting that block with some forged rods and pistons and stuff will be number one for me. That'll be. I don't mind spending a bunch of money on stuff like that.
Yeah,
and a turbo kit, not an eBay turbo kit. Maybe something like HKS or Gretty or something like that.
Or we can save that money for getting me over to America for SEMA next year.
That'd be cool. That's coming up. I'm glad you mentioned that too.
Yeah.
By the time the next episode goes up, my friend Zach from the Plug and Play podcast, he has a booth at SEMA for his job. So he'll be out in Las Vegas. He'll be at SEMA. So I'm going to give him a call and get him to let me know what he's seen on the show floor. And he's also going to make some pictures and stuff for me so we can put them up on the website.
I think that's going to be cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited. I mean, he's like, a lot of the time he'll be stuck at his booth and won't be able to leave. He said, but he gets time where he can walk around and check everything out. And Adam LZ's car will be there, too, with the S15 he's working on that he had built by Njuku will be it. Who has it? Is it Gretty? No.
I can't remember.
One of the turbo manufacturers is going to be in their booth.
I can't remember.
I know, it's like something Honeywell bottom, so it's like something / Honeywell, but it's not HKS. It's not Turbo. It might be Gretty, I think. I can't remember. Garrett. That's it. Garrett turbos.
Yeah, that makes sense because he's pretty into his bits in there. I think the guy from B is for Build's going to be there with his Z as well, isn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I've been
there with the Mini and the Civic.
I think I'll probably end up having to build a Mini in America.
We'll have a dummy Mini to take to shows where it's like no axles, no drivetrain. It's just...
Isn't that standard for SEMA?
Yeah, pretty much. Just
no engine. Yeah, just drop it to the floor.
There we go.
With no engine in it.
Here's the Autocross Mini and the Street Civic.
Yeah, except I'm not doing autocross with the Mini.
You're doing sprints.
Yeah. Sprints and hill climbs. Yeah. Well, that's all right. Don't worry, because when I finally get the Mini going, then you'll get to see onboard footage of the events.
That'd be cool.
And if I get my way and I do what I want to do, then I might end up possibly doing some live YouTube videos straight from the actual car.
That'd be cool.
For the race. So we'll see. Be interesting.
I thought about doing that, like streaming live to YouTube while I was doing some work on the cars, but I didn't know how that would go over. I didn't know if it'd be better to do that or just make a proper video.
I don't know. I mean, I think in a way it will be quite raw and quite cool to see how it all goes, but at the same time, with one person there and no one else, it could get a bit boring at some point, especially if you have to go take a break.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one of those things. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. It can be a little bit of a good thing because it's like cool to see it all live and actually sort of interact with the people that are watching the videos. But at the same time, if you need to go to the toilet or something like that, then you've got a couple of minutes of like people watching nothing on there.
Right. Here's a static shot of the engine. I'll be back.
Yeah. Just stick a metronome on there so that they can watch something moving.
All right. Well, the Corolla is getting its first mod tomorrow. It's getting a Modology Motorsports sticker.
Yeah.
And you can put a Modology Motorsports sticker on your car for $5. They're available on our website at modologymotorsports.com. Just hit the shop. Is it shop? The shop tab. Is it store? Store. Is it store? It's store.
Store.
Hit the store tab, and they are right there, ready for you. We have them available in white writing and black writing. And for $5, you can be a part of the mod squad, the Modology squad, and have your very own Modology sticker.
Yeah.
Fill it out. So be quick about it if you're going to do it.
Or if you want to get one for somebody for Christmas, do it.
Yep, here's your perfect opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you got stickers on your car, or if you are building a race car, or you're retiring from racing, or you're getting married, we want to hear about it. So send us an email at modologymotorsports@gmail.com and tell us all about it. And
you can catch us at Modology Motors on Twitter.
We have a Facebook group. It's booming over there. Lots of import car talk. So if you don't want that, you need to come in and put a stop to it. This facebook.com/groups/Modology Motorsports. And we have personal Twitters. If you want to hit me up, I'm at Hesser414.
And I'm at Brunt_Marcus.
We need 150 subs before the end of the year, just for our own personal gratification. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, you can find us at youtube.com/Modology Motorsports. So give us a sub and ring that little notification bell on there so you know when our videos go live.
Yeah, make sure you like as many of our videos as you can, and watch everything that you can on there as well, because the more likes, the more subs we get, and the more minutes viewed, then the better we show up on YouTube for people to find us.
The next episode is the season 1 finale of the Mileage Motorsports podcast. So me and Marcus have got a couple special things planned for you. So until then, this is Blake.
And this is Marcus.
We'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Do you remember hearing stories from your parents or grandparents about huddling around the old radio and listening to a radio drama?
And now, Mystery Theater, brought to you in part by True Value Hardware, your store of first choice. Come in.
Stories that not only could you see play out in your head, stories of love, mystery, and murder. Stories that would bring families together, even if for just one night. But it would be discussed until the next chapter was released. Or how about when your parents used to put you to bed early enough so they could sit down and enjoy the nightly news?
Good evening from CBS News. This is Newsbreak. Moments from now, President Reagan will speak to the nation and the Congress. The burden of the message: his health is much improved after the shooting a month ago, but the nation's economic health is not, and the country needs the economic program, which is the centerpiece of his administration.
These news broadcasts were televised with big names from back in the day, and even bigger stories of war, economic struggle, or economic bliss, and the topics would affect us all. Then there were the boomboxes back on every shoulder and Walkmans in every pocket, with headphones on so we can enjoy and share our favorite music of the day. Then there was Netflix, the next evolution of human entertainment platforms, who created the new verb binge, where you could get lost for hours watching through a season of a show and then find a new show to binge on. And finally, that brings us to the next big evolution of audio in the history of man. What if I told you there was one platform that not only covered all the genres and topics that the past has enjoyed on so many different platforms, from the old-time audio dramas to the most breaking news of today's era, from history long forgotten, health tips from experts, in-depth dives into crimes and murders, from hobbies of all kinds like video games and technology, to interviews with the professional athletes that you watch, all these can be unlocked to you, and for free, in the world of podcasting. Podcasts are not your grandparents' radio or your parents' nightly news anchor. They are the evolution of audio and the evolution of entertainment in our day and age. Podcast Junkie will be here to help guide you on finding the perfect ones for you. Coming soon to all platforms. Podcast Junkie will be a bite-sized podcast ranging from 4 minutes to a max of 15, giving you a quick overview of why I personally enjoy podcasts, and even a sneak peek of an episode or a trailer for the show we're talking about that week. So stay tuned, and in the coming weeks, we'll hope you'll let Podcast Junkie be the TV guide, so to speak, or better yet, the podcast guide to your next obsession. Podcast Junkie.